What's up? It's Tuesday, May 10th. We're in the second week of the playoffs here. We're fully immersed in it now, and you're probably thinking, well, then where's your playoff beer? You're not going to grow one? I'm actually one of those guys who still can't grow facial hair for the most part. It grows in kind of like a crustache, like the Pringles guy, where you can kind of twirl it like a painter in the 1800s. Kind of like Johnny Hockey, actually, on the Flames, if you see how his grows in. However, he was one of the few guys who really brought it from the bets last night. The Flames evened up their series. They got you a win. Florida, by the skin of their teeth, got through. What is wrong with these guys? I mean, any urgency, please? However, they were able to pull it out, and I'm happy because I know 2 days ago I had urged you to take them in the minus 135 for the series. Now you got a best 2 out of 3 with Florida with 2 games at home, and you tell me how many times you remember in history an 8 seed, the last seed of the playoffs, splits the first 2, comes home, gets game 3, is 5 minutes away from taking game 4, loses that game, and then ends up somehow winning 2 of the next 3. They're cooked. It's over for them. I think that minus 135 bet from 2 days ago that I told you get in there for the series is money. However, Florida seems just willing to repeatedly disappoint anyone who has any sort of restored faith in them. Props were no good. Nothing more embarrassing than the New York Rangers last night. If I wasn't a hardcore Islander fan, I would be more upset about it. But anytime I take the Rangers and they lose, there's that little child in me that's like, yeah, screw you. At least you can talk crap. As I've mentioned a few times now, this opening round of the playoffs, everything seems to be going over because of all these empty net situations. Last night, we had 2 overs, 2 unders. And why is that relevant, you ask? Because if you go to BetMGM and you bet $10 on any NHL game, if either team scores in that game, you win $200. AKA, there's $200 just waiting for you at BetMGM because there's never been a playoff game that existed that ended 0-0. Do you imagine that? What would be 10 overtimes? I shut off the lights. We're coming back tomorrow. That's not going to happen. So go to BetMGM and use the promo code OSNHL to snatch your free $200, or you can just click the link down below and that will redirect you right to MGM. So as far as tonight goes, we're going to start with my favorite bet of the night. This bet, it's not a 10 out of 10 like the Tampa Bay Lightning were the other night, but it's an 8. This is probably my second favorite bet so far of this first round, and that is the Hartford Whalers, aka the Carolina Hurricanes, at home tonight against the Boston Bruins. And as you can see, we have the Brass Bonanza, the Hartford Whalers winning song that I hope will be playing tonight at around 9:30 or 10 o'clock. With the Bruins, Canes kind of wiped the floor with them the first 2 games. Then the Bruins, they won a couple 4-2 games, but those games were a lot closer in terms of gameplay than one would have thought. Pasternak, Marchand, Bergeron, that line, as it does year after year after year, came through for them on the power play and at even strength. However, when you go on the road and you don't have the luxury of last change, they're going to get the defensive matchups that they want against that line and be able to limit them like they did in games 1 and 2. And adding on to that, when you have last change at home, you get your offensive units that you want out there against the defensive units on the visiting team. So when you talk about getting the checking line and defensive unit, the 5-man unit that you want against Aho's line at home, you don't have that luxury on the road. And on top of that, we don't even know McAvoy and Lindholm's situation for this game 5. So when you're talking about being on the road without your top 2 defensemen, it's actually a lot worse than being at home without your top 2 defensemen, because at least you have the luxury of last change. They will not have that luxury tonight. And Carolina, man, they are a tough out every single time, even in those losses. They had a couple leads in the last game, game 4. Eventually Bruins tied it up and ended up winning the game. I think at minus 140, 145, they're a great bet. They are my second favorite bet of the playoffs so far. This series has home team wins every game up until game 7, and then it's a coin flip written all over it, if you ask me. The same way when the Bruins played the Blues in the Stanley Cup final, it was home win, home win, home win, home. 6 straight home wins. We might be seeing that in this series. This Tampa-Toronto game, it really is a fascinating one. As you guys all know, I told you to take Tampa plus 220 when they were down 2-1. I told you to take them to win the East when it got up to like plus 700, plus 800. And then the real Slim Shady, the Tampa Bay Lightning, did show up. And they threw that beating. That's the Tampa I remember. And now here's the question, like, what happens when it goes back to Toronto? Because I will say this, regardless of catching a beating, they still scored another 3 on Vasilevsky. They're scoring on Vasilevsky at a clip we haven't seen other teams. And it's just interesting to see how this one might go. I'm not 100% sure who's going to win. You know, there's a sick part of me that knows that Tampa is 17-0 after a playoff loss. So if Toronto... It's like you want Toronto to win, even though I have them for the series, because I want to put so many chips on Tampa next game. But I don't know. I do not know. However, what I do know is that every series these last 2 years, it's like paying a toll. If you want to play the Lightning, that comes with Vasilevsky stealing a game or getting one shutout. It's bound to happen. We just don't know if it's this game, the next game after that, or the following game. And I'm going to take the under 6.5. I know it's been overs, but eventually you're going to see this regression to the mean. We saw 2 overs, 2 unders last night. And really, I think the highest percent chance of the over not hitting comes if, like in game 2, Tampa comes out to a big lead and then Toronto has to play catch up and then it's just ruckus back and forth. However, when you come down to a best-of-3 series and the mistakes are magnified, teams don't gamble quite as much. They don't gamble when one mistake could cost you the series. One mistake tonight, and if Tampa wins by 1 goal, they're going home with a chance to close it. And how do you think that one's going to end up? So you may see these teams hit the brakes a little bit in terms of how much they're willing to just run and gun. We will see, because they have been able to score more than us, but I'm going to take the under 6.5. Because like I said, it's only a matter of time before Vasilevsky gets you, and I want to be early to the party. So give me the Tampa-Toronto under 6.5. Now over to the late game. This is not like some sort of genius, brilliant pick. However, when we took this team at minus 110, when they went down 1-0, I'm still so happy about that after watching the following 3 games, even though game 4 was a loss. But the Edmonton Oilers tonight are minus 200. I think they're a fairly good bet to win this game. The Kings, they just don't have a lot of playmakers. They're just grinding and scrapping out there. And unfortunately, the Oilers are that kind of team who can kind of lose to everyone, as you saw them lose 4 in a row to Winnipeg last year. However, their upside is they win some of these games 8-1, and you could just watch the first period and be like, all right, I can go to sleep. So give me the Edmonton Oilers tonight as well. And as far as that Blues series, I have to mostly stay away from. However, at OddsShopper, one of the best prop bets for the night is David Perron over 2.5 shots. I mean, he had a hat trick in game 1. He had over 2.5 goals. And another prop that I tend to agree with from some of the best bets on there, or the Steven Stamkos over 2.5 shots. You know how he is on the power play. He's set up at that point, and if they're feeding him, he's shooting them. So over 2.5 shots for Steven Stamkos. Those are the 2 props that we got for the night. So let's see how this one goes. But to me, this whole night centers around the Carolina Hurricanes. That's all I want. Like, if the Carolina Hurricanes hit and all the other ones miss, maybe other than the Oilers, you should have had a good night. This is a Carolina Hurricanes night. All right. All right, everybody, take it easy. Have a good one. Good luck on this Tuesday night. We seem to get better as the week progresses, so it's still early week, so maybe focus on those Carolina Hurricanes, and we will be back with you tomorrow to break down 3 games, because that Colorado series is obviously over. Take it easy. I'll talk to you then.